Concentration and Vipassana Meditation by Venerable U Silananda ***. Concentration, samadhi, is a very important factor in the practice of Vipassana meditation. Without concentration, the insights of Vipassana cannot develop, and a practitioner cannot penetrate the true nature of all things, nor realize the three characteristics of impermanence, suffering, and non-self of the body and mind. In the process of practicing the four foundations of mindfulness, Satipatthana, the meditator first tries to follow the instructions, striving to clearly note the object arising in the present moment. Initially, the meditator may encounter difficulties in maintaining mindfulness on the object because the mind wanders, grasping at other objects or thoughts in the past and future. Despite efforts, the meditator's mind is not yet calm because it is still entangled with many hindrances. If the meditator perseveres without giving up, the mental hindrances gradually diminish, and the mind becomes still and observes the object more clearly. In the early stages, the practitioner may mistakenly think that they are seeing the object clearly, but in reality, they have not truly noted it. However, later on, as the mental hindrances weaken, the mind sees the object more clearly. The practitioner begins to be able to keep the mind noting the object for a longer period, starting to see more details of the object. When other objects arise in the present moment, even though they become less frequent, the practitioner's mind still notes them. Gradually, the practitioner's mind observes the object more continuously, with less wandering, until the practitioner begins to experience successive moments of mindfulness arising closely together, with each moment of mindfulness immediately followed by the next, and so on. When moments of mindfulness arise closely and continuously, mental hindrances, called the five hindrances in Vera, have little opportunity to intrude into the mind. At this point, the practitioner's mind is calm. Calm here means not wandering, not dominated by hindrances, and the mind is established on the object. At that time, the practitioner attains purity of mind. Previously, the practitioner's mind was agitated and cloudy, like a lake stirred up, and practitioner could not observe the object clearly. But when mindfulness is maintained continuously on the object, the practitioner's mind becomes clear, like a still lake when the sediment has settled. The practitioner sees the object clearly in detail, and then sees its characteristics. The calmer the mind, the clearer the practitioner sees. Here is something that always inclines toward the object mind, and here is something that itself has no ability to know matter. A meditator who has studied the scriptures will recognize that this is the mind always inclining toward the object, and that is matter without the ability to know. As mental hindrances subside further, the practitioner increasingly distinguishes between the phenomena of mind and matter. At this point, the practitioner develops the insight of discerning mind and matter. For a practitioner who has not studied Buddhist scriptures, this person still clearly sees that there is inclining toward the object and that the object has no ability to know. With more experience, the practitioner accurately perceives that the mindful mind arises because of the presence of an object. Without an object, there is no noting mind. As the meditation practice progresses, the practitioner becomes more skilled and notes the presence of intention, satana, before making any movement or activity, and clearly knows that because there is intention, there is subsequent movement. In every intentional action, there is always action following intention. The practitioner continuously notes, here is the intention to move the hand, here is a hand moving, here is the intention to lift the foot, here is the foot stepping. By noting in this way, the practitioner clearly sees the cause and effect relationship between the phenomena of mind and matter, and experiences within themselves that nothing arises without a cause. Advancing further, the practitioner experiences the arising and ceasing of the objects being observed. Initially, the practitioner may clearly see the arising of the object, but not catch it ceasing, or see the ceasing clearly, but not catch the arising. Gradually, as the meditation practice progresses, the practitioner gains the ability to recognize the object as soon as it arises and know when it ceases. The practitioner, with sharp mindfulness, sees the arising and ceasing of the phenomena being noted. Thus, the practitioner realizes and sees clearly the characteristic of impermanence of the object, penetrating clearly the nature of impermanence because the practitioner experiences that every object, after arising, must cease. Seeing the characteristic of impermanence of objects, the practitioner also sees their unsatisfactory nature. Unsatisfactory because they arise and cease, cease and arise, giving rise to weariness. And the practitioner knows truly that there is no permanent entity in any object. The practitioner experiences a characteristic of non-self, of the objects being observed. They have no substance. Seeing the three characteristics of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self of the observed objects, of the phenomena of body and mind, the practitioner begins to enter Vipassana meditation. The arising and ceasing and the characteristics of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self of things have always been present, always there. But a person never experiences them without practicing Vipassana meditation. The more effort put into meditation, the clearer the practitioner sees and discovers different experiences, from one phenomenon to another, both of body and mind. The practitioner is self-illuminating and discovering themselves. With each discovery, each direct experience, the practitioner attains different levels of Vipassana insight until, when the meditation practice matures, when the insights are perfected, the practitioner reaches the shore of enlightenment. The practitioner attains enlightenment because they have gained new and special understanding of body and mind. They can know body and mind because the practitioner maintains a mindful mind, continuously noting the object without wandering. When the mind is not hindered by obstacles, no longer wandering, at that time, the mind is concentrated. Here, we clearly see the crucial role of concentration in our Vipassana meditation method. When the mind is not entangled by hindrances, the mindful mind becomes strong, concentration is developed, and the practitioner penetrates the object, discerns mind and matter, etc. Without developing concentration, we cannot hope to see the object clearly, cannot penetrate their nature, cannot realize their characteristics of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. Therefore, Vipassana meditators need to restrain mental hindrances to develop concentration. This is very important. I use the term restrain here because a meditator does not yet have the ability to completely eradicate mental defilements, but can only temporarily keep them out of the mind to allow the mind to settle and clearly see the object. Many meditators have experienced the above stages of meditation practice and realize the phenomena of body and mind. When a meditator has the wisdom to discern body and mind, sees the three characteristics of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self in them, etc., we can affirm that this person has developed concentration, because without concentration, this person could not have those experiences. At this meditation center, we practice Vipassana meditation based on the teachings of Venerable Mahasi. In the past, countless meditators in Burma and other countries have practiced, according to the Mahasi method, progressively attained the insights of Vipassana in sequence, and achieved the ultimate goal of Vipassana meditation. All had to cultivate and develop concentration to be able to penetrate the nature of things and ultimately realize the truth of Nibbana. We often say, I study with this teacher or that teacher, practice this method or that method. But in reality, these methods are all taught by the Buddha. All reputable teachers only teach the methods transmitted by the Buddha. They may add their personal experiences, but the core is still the practice from the Buddha. And in the practice of Vipassana meditation, concentration is an essential factor because thanks to concentration, the practitioner gains the ability to penetrate the true nature of all things. Here, the question arises, what types of concentration do Vipassana meditators attain? The commentaries mention many different types of concentration. There's absorption concentration, jhana. Before that, there is access concentration. It is called access concentration because this mind arises very close to the absorption concentration jhana. The practitioner must pass through access concentration before attaining absorption concentration. Without access concentration, one cannot have absorption concentration. So, what type of concentration does a Vipassana meditator develop? Not absorption concentration, nor access concentration. Only those who develop absorption concentration jhana pass through access concentration. Vipassana meditators develop a type of concentration similar to access concentration, which is momentary concentration. Kanika samadhi or kanika samadhi. When a person practices samatha meditation, restraining wandering minds or mental hindrances. The mind is calmly established on a single object. The practitioner is developing access concentration. Access concentration is a fairly stable concentration, though not as deep and strong as absorption concentration, but it can keep hindrances out of the mind. Access concentration can remain on the object for quite a long time, from one moment to another, without interruption. Momentary concentration is similar. It can also keep hindrances out of the mind, can remain on the object from one moment to another, without interruption. Momentary concentration is no different from access concentration, but we do not call it access concentration, because it does not arise just before absorption concentration. That's all. Access concentration remains on the object. Momentary concentration also remains on the object. The difference, if any, is that the object of access concentration is only one. A samatha meditator can keep the access concentration mind on the object for hours, and the meditation object remains a single thing or sign, unchanging. Meanwhile, for a Vipassana meditator, the momentary concentration mind still remains on the object for a long time, but the object of momentary concentration changes. Sometimes it is a breath, sometimes a thought, sometimes sensation on the body. The momentary concentration mind automatically grasps and remains on different objects at different times. This is the only difference between access concentration in samatha and momentary concentration in Vipassana. Access concentration remains on a single object, while momentary concentration remains on different objects at different times, but both have the ability to remain steadily on the object equally. When a Vipassana meditator practices, they attain momentary concentration, and this momentary concentration is right concentration. Samādhi, one of the 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. This point has become a contentious issue, because in the Satipatthana Sutta, right concentration is defined as the concentration of the 4 jhanas of the form realm. Based on this, some argue that right concentration consists only of the 4 jhanas of the form realm, nothing else. So those who practice Vipassana, without practicing samatha, without attaining the jhanas, do not develop right concentration. Here, when saying Vipassana practitioners, I imply those who practice pure Vipassana, without mixing with samatha. But the concentration of a Vipassana practitioner is truly right concentration, samādhi. On one hand, if we rigidly adhere to the definition of right concentration, as recorded in the Satipatthana Sutta, only the concentration in the 4 jhanas of the form realm is called right concentration. On the other hand, in practice, Vipassana meditators also experience right concentration, but this right concentration is momentary concentration, kanika samadhi, not absorption concentration, jhana samadhi. We can resolve this difficult issue with a conciliatory view. We should not consider the definition of right concentration in the Satipatthana Sutta as the only immutable definition that cannot be expanded. Because if we think that way, what about the concentration of the formless realm jhanas, Arupavakra jhana? These jhanas can also serve as a foundation for Vipassana. A person with the ability to enter the formless realm jhanas can enter concentration, then emerge, switch to Vipassana, take the just emerged jhana or related minds as objects, and continue with Vipassana. But the 4 formless realm jhanas are not mentioned in the section on right concentration in the Satipatthana Sutta. So, is the concentration attained with these formless realm jhanas not considered right concentration? Therefore, we should read the passage on right concentration in the Satipatthana Sutta and understand that this is not an immutable statement, but a definition that can be expanded to be more complete and comprehensive when necessary. Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw used to teach that when reading the definition of right concentration in the Satipatthana Sutta, we should understand that the Buddha used a higher or stronger mind, which is absorption concentration. This mind is higher than access concentration or momentary concentration, but right concentration includes all 3 types of concentration mentioned above. When we practice Vipassana, we should not worry about whether momentary concentration is right concentration or not. We just need to practice meditation to experience momentary concentration ourselves. This momentary concentration, when cultivated and perfected, will surely lead us to the wisdom that penetrates the true nature of all things. Whether it is accepted by others as right concentration or not is not the issue. We just need to know that momentary concentration has the ability to lead to the penetration of the true nature of all things, and it is right concentration. We just need to focus on practicing meditation. We will experience concentration, and with this concentration, we will penetrate the true nature things. That's all. Today, I lecture on this topic with the purpose of sharing with you a correct understanding, so that when someone says that in your meditation practice there is no right concentration, you will be ready with an appropriate response. There are people who, based on their bookish knowledge of the scriptures, do not hesitate to criticize a meditation practice. If they truly practice and apply the theories they have read to themselves, they will realize the levels of insight as taught and personally experience that concentration truly exists in the practice of Vipassana meditation. If they have the opportunity to practice Vipassana with Venerable Mahasi's method, they will know for themselves what it is like to attain different levels of Vipassana insight and how concentration leads to the penetration of the true nature of all things. From personal experience, we can confirm that momentary concentration is indeed right concentration because it is the essential factor that helps us develop and attain different levels of insight. But if we stubbornly rely on a single scriptural passage and believe that only the concentration of the form realm jhanas is right concentration, this thinking will not lead us anywhere. So, when talking about meditation, let us practice and not get caught up in books. Finally, I want to reiterate the crucial position of momentary concentration in Vipassana meditation. Without momentary concentration, we will not have the insight to discern body and mind, will not see the relationship between cause and effect, will not experience the arising and ceasing of objects, will not penetrate the three characteristics of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self of things. That momentary concentration is like the gate that opens a way for us to enter the process of Vipassana insights. Without it, we will not realize the above experiences. Moreover, in two different subcommentaries, it is clearly stated that without the presence of momentary concentration, Vipassana insight cannot arise. The term Vipassana means seeing things as they are. You can only see things as they are with momentary concentration, not with access concentration or absorption concentration. Here, I conclude the Dhamma talk. May all meditators strive to practice meditation, develop momentary concentration to penetrate the true nature of all things, to realize the three characteristics of all conditioned phenomena, of all conditioned dhammas, and ultimately achieve enlightenment. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.